feel like this shoe is going to be suited much more to sort of the masses. So welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a video on the best track shoes that I've personally tried for the 5 and 10k distances. Tomorrow is my first track race of the season, the Essex 5,000 metre championships. So just going over what shoes I'm going to be racing in between the Nike Zoom X Dragonfly and the Adidas Adizero Avanti TYO. Bit of a mouthful there. But before we go any further, shout out to my dad here on my calendar. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Dad. Hope you have a good one and hope we can have a good race tomorrow. He'll be down there supporting as always. So yes, shout out to my dad. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video looking at these two spikes from Adidas and Nike. So these two track shoes sort of dominate the distances from anywhere between 1,500 meters all the way up to 10,000 meters on the track. So they're the middle to long distance track shoes of choice for the professional runners. But yeah, when I tried them out, I was surprised to find there was quite a big difference between the two spikes. So I'll be going over 5 categories for these shoes. One being performance, the second being comfort, third being price point, the fourth being weight, and finally the versatility. I'll then conclude which shoe I'm going to be picking for my 5k race tomorrow, and yeah, let you know which shoe I think is going to be best suited for certain types of runners. So first of all, let's start with some specifications. The weight of these shoes is slightly different. So the Nike Dragonfly weighs 133 grams, whereas the Adidas Avanti weighs 159 grams. So in terms of weight, the Nike is a little bit lighter there, 29 grams lighter in a men's UK size 9. Onto the midsole of these shoes. So the Adidas Avanti has a full Light Strike Pro midsole, which is the shoe which is used in their super shoes. So the Adidas Pro 2 and 3, I believe, that's coming out, and it's also got their carbon fiber energy rod technology. You can see it in the bottom of the shoe there. Yeah, this shoe has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 energy rods that sort of sit under the bones in your feet, under the toes, and yeah, give you that explosive toe off. Whereas the midsole in the Dragonfly is using the Nike Superfoam, the Zoom X, which is the equivalent of the Light Strike Pro, but this one doesn't have the energy rods. This one has a full length spike plate, which is this blue bit here is exposed here, and then it's covered up towards the rear of the shoe with some more Zoom X. And yeah, this is made from nylon, a full length spike plate there in which the 6 spikes are attached to. Both the shoes have 6 spikes, by the way, and traction in these shoes is fairly similar. A quick note about sizing. For me, I went true to size in the Nike Dragonfly, so a UK size 8, and I went half a size down, so a 7.5 in the Avantis. I just find the Adidas shoes in general fit a little bit long for my feet. So yeah, half size down for the Avanti is my personal preference. And the final point for specifications is the upper. Both have a single layer mesh upper, which are both very breathable, fairly similar in terms of fit over the top of the foot. The tongue in the Adidas is semi-gusted, so it's attached slightly at the bottom of the shoe here to the upper. Whereas the Nike tongue is loose, basically. It's not gusted at all. It just sits on top of the foot. And yeah, sometimes you can get a little bit of scrunching, I found, with the Dragonfly, whereas the Adidas the tongue seems to sit a little bit better on the top of your foot. One of the main differences in the uppers is the heel counter. With the Adidas, there's a lot more of a heel counter in this shoe, a little bit more rigid and more padding around that heel to really lock in your foot, whereas the Dragonfly, there's not really a heel counter at all. As you can see, it's very sort of flimsy here at the back, so it doesn't offer as much support in terms of the upper that the Avanti does. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump in to the performance category of this shoe and decide which is fastest, which do I find most efficient. So interestingly, the ride in these shoes is kind of completely different. The Dragonfly is much more aggressive. It feels like it wants to get you up onto your toes, whereas the Adidas is a lot more relaxed in terms of it doesn't necessarily push you up onto your foot, onto your toes. It allows your foot to sort of strike the ground naturally and how you would normally run in a shoe. For example, on the road. So if you're a mid to heel foot striker, then that is something you may want to consider. This shoe is definitely much more suited to people who like to run up on their toes, and it forces you up onto your toes much more than the Avanti. So which shoe feels faster? For me, the Dragonfly definitely feels like it wants to make me run faster. I've not actually done a test where I sort of do a 400-meter rep or a kilometer rep in each shoe and compare the two times. But for me, the Dragonfly just has the edge when it comes to making me run a little bit faster, or at least feeling faster. And I also think that's down to the Dragonfly also being a lot more rigid and snappy through that foot strike. As you can see here, it doesn't really flex that much, whereas the Avanti is much softer landing, and it flexes a hell of a lot more than the Dragonfly. So yeah, in terms of performance, I would give it to the Dragonfly. It just feels a little bit faster, especially over those shorter reps. And I'll go on to why I would choose this shoe for shorter distance races such as 800, 1500 and 3K races, a little bit more in a later part of the video. But yeah, performance wise, the Dragonfly just about takes it for me in terms of being faster and a little bit more efficient. So moving on to the second category between this shoe battle, which is comfort. Again, there's quite a big difference between the two shoes. The Nike is much more minimal. You can feel the ground a lot more. There feels like there's a lot less cushioning, especially in the mid to heel of this shoe. Whereas the Avanti, yeah, is a lot more comfortable through the foot strike. This Light Strike Pro is a lot softer than the Zoom X, and there seems to be a lot more of it, especially in the mid and heel foot of this shoe compared to the back end of the Dragonfly. Maybe you can see it there upon comparison. And both the upper and the midsole on this shoe is much more comfortable than the Dragonfly from my findings anyway. It may be different for other people. I just prefer that softer landing, and yeah, the upper overall just feels like it's got a little bit more plushness and support around that heel, and it's sort of, the tongue fits on top of my foot a lot more, a lot better, and there's less scrunching. The Dragonfly feels really comfortable at fast speeds, but as you start to slow down, so maybe in the longer distance races or in, say, tempo work on the track, it feels a lot less comfortable as you go from running on your toes back onto the mid to heel. Whereas the Adidas feels comfortable pretty much at all speeds. So for example, if you're doing a track workout where you maybe jog 400 meters as your recovery, the Adidas feels a lot better at a wide range of speeds. So I've done tempo work, threshold work, sprint reps in this shoe, and they all feel equally as comfortable, whereas in the Dragonfly it only really feels comfortable when you're running at race pace. So yeah, that's something to consider. This is definitely a better training option than the Dragonfly, because this shoe, yeah, wins the most comfortable in terms of the shoe battle there on that category. The third category is weight. It's an easy win here for the Dragonflies, 29 grams lighter. In my size 8. Is that noticeable over track distances? Not really. I would just say though, this feels much more like a training shoe, a road shoe with spikes on the bottom, whereas this feels like an out and out racing shoe, completely stripped back, no comfort, but it is designed purely for speed. So yeah, weight goes to the Dragonfly by about 29 grams. Moving on to the fourth category, which is price point. The Dragonfly comes in at £139.50, so £140 retail price, whereas the Adidas Avanti comes in at £130 retail price. So yeah, the Adidas is £10 cheaper. I did have a little look online to see if I could find any discounted, and the cheapest I can find the Dragonfly at the moment is £126 on achillesheel.co.uk. But the Avanti, sorry, you can pick up now for £106 at Sports Shoes. So yeah, £20 cheaper than the best price for the Dragonfly. So the price point for this shoe, the winner of this category, goes to the Adidas Avanti. And moving on to the final category in this shoe battle, which is versatility. Which shoe sort of can be used for a wide range of reps, paces, training, races. I would have to give it to the Adidas Avanti. It just feels comfortable at a wide range of paces. and I feel like this shoe is going to be suited much more to sort of the masses. So I'm talking about sub-elite and yes, your average runner who's looking to do some track races this summer. Yeah, it just feels comfortable at all paces that I've personally tried in this shoe, whereas the Nike Dragonfly is a little bit less versatile. It only really suits running as fast as you possibly can, and it feels most comfortable at that point. But then again, yeah, it just depends on your personal preference. Do you prefer maybe more of a comfortable shoe when racing and running on tracks, or would you prefer more of a stripped back, aggressive track shoe, racing shoe? Yeah, that's going to get you moving probably at a little bit faster speeds. And finally, my pick. Which would I choose out of the Nike Dragonfly and the Avanti from Adidas? For me, the Adidas is taking the win at the moment. So for tomorrow's 5,000 meter race, I'll be using the Adidas Avanti. Just the higher stack height and that Light Strike Pro is just a little bit softer for me and more forgiving, and I find it protects my legs a lot more. So towards the end of the 5k and 10k distances, I feel like this shoe will prevent me from fatiguing as much in the legs, whereas in the Dragonfly, much more aggressive. As I start to land mid to heel, there's a lot less shoe to protect my legs from the ground, and I just find they fatigue a little bit more. So yeah, moving forward, for track races of 5 and 10k, I'll be going for the Avanti. But interestingly, for 1500s and 3ks, which I may be doing a few races over the summer, I'll be going for the Dragonfly, the out and out speed shoe. I just feel like this has got the edge when it comes to that top end speed on the track for us middle to long distance runners. So yeah, that's my review of the Adidas Avanti and the Nike Dragonfly, both incredible shoes. If you've enjoyed this video between the two shoes, then please leave a like down below and let me know which would you pick for your races this summer. I'd be really interested to know. But until next time, aspire to run, run to inspire, and we'll see you again soon.